Здравствуйте и добро пожаловать! Я очень рада, что могу быть здесь с вами сегодня. Меня зовут Кристина, я американка, но живу я в России. Я по профессии филолог русского языка и живу в России и изучаю русский язык. Но так как наша тема сегодня «Как помогать нашим детям говорить на английском», я с вами сегодня буду говорить на английском. So we will switch to English. It will be easier for me. Hopefully I can talk slowly and clearly so that you can understand what I'm saying today. So our theme today is how to help our kids speak in English at home. I have personal experience from growing up of learning to speak a second language at home. I grew up in a normal American family. We only spoke English at home. I didn't know any other languages. But when I was 12 years old, my parents adopted two children, Anya and Alyosha, from Russia. Well, when we adopted them, they were 7 years old and 8 years old, and they didn't speak any English, and we didn't speak any Russian. So we brought them home to America. We would communicate using a dictionary. I would, look up words in the dictionary and try to talk with them. We weren't really planning on learning Russian as a family. We assumed they would pick up English quickly, which they did. But we weren't really planning on learning Russian as a family until one day my mom had a very scary incident in the car with Anya. Mom was driving along the highway, and all of a sudden, Anya reached over and took the gear shift and shifted the car into another gear, which on the highway is very dangerous and can make you have a wreck. Well, my mom said, "Anya, нет," which was some of the very little Russian my mom knew. And Anya looked at her and said, "Почему?" And my mom couldn't say anything back. She didn't know enough Russian to answer her. And so mom decided then and there that she really needed to learn Russian. So my mom is very good at languages. She speaks many languages. She decided if she was going to learn Russian, we were all going to learn Russian. So mom got us Russian-English dictionaries, and she made herself, me, and my biologic brother speak Russian with each other. Even though she only spoke a couple words of Russian, I only spoke a couple words of Russian. When she was trying to talk to me, her American daughter, she would pull up a dictionary and look up each word. She would say I, and she'd look up ya. Then if she wanted to say I want something, she would say хочет, because we didn't know how to conjugate any Russian verbs. And so gradually, slowly but surely, we learned Russian at home. Now we learned to speak Russian like a 7 or 8 year old Russian child from an orphanage. But we learned basic Russian at home through my mom just insisting that we practice. Sometimes it drove me crazy. I was like, "Mom, just have a normal conversation with me." But she really helped me learn Russian, and now I've been able to use that in my career throughout the rest of my life. So I'm very grateful now that I actually learned Russian at home growing up. All right, so I shared my experience as a child growing up learning another language. Now I want to share a little bit of my experience as an adult trying to teach my own children another language. Let's see. So 7 years ago, I got married, and I am married to an American, but he and I actually met in Russia, and he's fluent in Russian as well. And so I had all these ideas and plans of when we got married, we were going to speak in Russian at home, we were going to practice our Russian with each other. When we had kids, we were going to only speak Russian to our kids, and from the time our kids were born, they were going to be bilingual. Well, that didn't happen. I don't know if we were just lazy or it was too hard, but some of you probably understand it is hard to speak to your spouse and to your children in a language that is not your heart language. Like for me, I speak good Russian, but English is still my heart language. And so what feels natural to me to speak to my children and to speak to my husband is to speak to them in English. And so to speak to them in Russian, I really have to make a concerted effort and really make myself try to speak to them in Russian. So when we first had children, we were living in America, but we were planning to move to Russia. And so I thought, okay, I'm just going to speak to my kids in English, give them a good foundation for English, and then when we get to Russia, they'll learn Russian living in Russia. Well, we moved to Russia when my oldest daughter had just turned 3 and my youngest daughter was a baby. We lived here 6 months. My oldest daughter is very extroverted and talkative. She did not learn any Russian, like not any at all. We were around, we were having Russian friends in our home. We would meet Russian kids on the playground, and she still didn't learn any Russian. Now, we were speaking to her in English at home, but I assumed that just living in daily life here, she would learn Russian, and she didn't. So we came to the point where we really felt like we needed to put her in preschool in Sadiq. So we put her in Sadiq, and within 3 weeks of Russian Sadiq, she was jabbering away in Russian, and she now speaks Russian very well. And we just had kind of the same issue with my youngest, who just turned 2. She didn't speak any Russian either, so we actually just put her in Sadiq this week. So she's having her first kind of experience of navigating Russian Sadiq, not speaking Russian, but I think she'll pick up Russian quickly as well. So for me as a parent, I definitely understand how hard it is to try to make yourself speak to your child in a language that's not your native language. I am trying now more at home to speak to my kids in Russian. Now, because I've spoken English to them since birth, a lot of times they don't want me to speak to them in Russian at home. Like if I try to just say, okay, let's speak Russian with each other, they'll fight me back on that. They'll say, we don't want to, let's speak English. We understand English better. One thing I found that's been very helpful is play. A lot of times, if I just sit down and say, okay, let's speak Russian and try to speak Russian with them, they won't engage with me on that. And they'll just say no or refuse to and just answer me in English. But if I'm in the middle of playing Legos or Playmobiles or Barbies or whatever toys with them, if I start speaking Russian in the middle of play, they often don't even notice and will just keep playing with me. And they will switch into Russian without really even realizing it. And it just kind of switches more naturally for them. And then it feels more like a game to them and not like I'm forcing a language study like school. So I would definitely recommend using play as kind of a route to get your kids to speak English.
Can you find my wife, please?
Oh, have you wife?
No, that's my daughter. That's my kid.
Yeah, doesn't.
No, I need a mommy. Where's her mommy?
I don't know.
Can you find her? Is this her?
Yeah.
Oh, Nanny Plum, you saved the day. Thank you. Give me a high five. Can we eat dinner? I'm hungry.
We don't have a table.
Well, did you cook dinner?
No.
Really? Did our daughter cook dinner?
No way.
Well, how am I supposed to eat?
You're supposed to eat on the giant on this table.
There's our table. Oh, thank you, honey. What's for dinner? I'm hungry.
You have to sit on the table to eat.
Okay. Daughter, dinner time. Kid, dinner time.
Oh,
Come sit with us.
oh.
Oh, we're a normal family. We like to sit on the table for dinner. What are we eating?
A pile of. It's a pile of bear soup.
Bear soup? Medved soup?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yum, 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 yum. Oh, so tasty. Oh, baby, what's wrong? What's wrong? You want your mommy? She's right here. She's on the table eating her bear soup.
No, this is what here.
That's your, wait a minute. That's your mommy?
Yeah, that's the mommy.
Well, who is that?
I don't know. That's Nanny Plum.
Is this my mommy?
No, that's yes.
Some other things which you guys probably already do, but I found really helpful are kids books. There's so many great kids books
in English. I'm sure there are tons of great kids books in Russian. I just don't know them yet. So feel free to leave comments in the comment section of good kids books in Russian. But yeah, there's so many great kids books in English. I read to my kids, I don't even know how much I read to them every day. An absolute ton. And they really enjoy it. And it's a great way to be teaching them without them feeling like you're teaching them. And so I would definitely recommend getting some good, fun English kids books and reading to them. Another thing we do a lot is sing songs. It's a really easy way to help kids learn language. Here's a little video of my husband doing a couple songs that my girls love to do.
The rosy pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. You girls fall too. We're gonna make a bridge.
Hi. So she can know.
London Bridge is falling down, sing it, falling down. London Bridge is falling down. My fair lady, take the key and lock her up, lock her up, lock her up. Take the key and lock her up, my fair lady. My turn. Now you guys do the bridge.
Okay.
Sing it, sing the song.
London Bridge is
Oh, Hannah, you don't move, you stay there.
falling down. London Bridge is falling down. My take the key and lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. Take the key and lock him up. My bear.
Oh, you crazy kids.
All right, so in addition to reading books in English, singing songs in English, another great thing I would recommend is playing games. There are a bunch of great games that you can play with your kids in English. My youngest, so with my oldest, I worked really hard when she was little to teach her how to count and to know all her colors and her shapes and her letters. With my youngest, I just have not had time, honestly. And so I hadn't even tried to teach her to count. And a couple months ago we were driving and all of a sudden I heard her behind me go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I realized she had counted to 10. I had not tried to teach her. I didn't know how she knew how to count, and I looked back, and she was like this, and she goes, ready, 9, here I come. And I realized she had learned to count by playing the game hide and go seek with her older sister. And so I hadn't purposely tried to teach her numbers in English, but she had picked that up just by playing games. And so that, is something that you can do with your own children, is help teach them English through playing games, and that will feel fun and exciting to them, and will probably make them enjoy learning English more. Some other great things are telling stories. We typically tell our oldest daughter stories when we walk her to and from Sonic each day, and that keeps her interested and helps her keep walking. That's a great way too. I know a lot of people have different feelings on screen time and TV. We definitely really limit how much TV our kids get to watch. One show that we do love, so in Russian, we have them watch Masha and the Medved. So they're always happy to watch that in Russian. In English, I love the show Daniel Tiger. So I would definitely recommend, if you're looking for a good quality English TV show to show your small children, I would recommend Daniel Tiger. Let's see. What are other? Oh, by far and above, the best thing you can do is, if you know any children whose native language is English, organize play dates for your kids. Our kids have learned so much Russian by us inviting Russian friends over and them just playing with those children. So if you know any families in your area who have kids whose native language is English, or kids who would speak English with your children, I would definitely recommend getting your kids together and letting them play, and they'll learn a lot of English, pick up a lot of English just naturally through play from other children. All right, for this last section, I'm going to share some words and phrases for those of you who already speak English with your children at home. Either you already speak English with your kids at home, or you are getting ready to start speaking English with your kids at home. These are just some natural, normal phrases that I use in my everyday parenting that I would just recommend and give you as examples of phrases that you can use in your own parenting as well. So I'm going to read them from my phone because I wrote them down here. So one area of parenting obviously is terms of endearment. Things that you call your child, warm, fuzzy things that you call your child. Some possibilities are baby girl, baby boy. I call both of my girls beautiful treasure. Mommy's girl, daddy's girl. My kids are both girls, so these mine are going to be girl options. Tell them all the time, I love you, I adore you with my whole heart. I'm so thankful for you. You're so special. Things like that. I try to tell my kids all the time. Some other options are praise when they've done a good job at something. It's really easy, and I find myself doing this, to always have good job as your go-to. If they draw a picture, oh, good job. If they clean up their room, good job. If they, build a tower with blocks, good job. And so I'm trying myself to switch and to use different options other than good job, and specifically to use options that focus on the effort they put into whatever they're doing. So for example, if my daughter just drew something, I'll say, oh wow, I really love that drawing. What is it a picture of? Can you tell me about it? I love your creativity. You use such bright colors, that sort of thing. Other things I often do is try to notice things they love. Like, you really love art, don't you? I often tell them how proud I am of them. I'm so proud of you, and specifically try to pick out being proud of them, not for achievements, but for character qualities. For example, like, I'm so proud of how kind you were to your sister when you shared your doll with her. Or, I'm so proud of how you gave Daddy a hug when you noticed he was tired. That made him feel really special. Or I'm so proud of the way you worked really hard to clean up your room. Things like that I use a lot. Let's see, what are some other ones? It makes me smile when you share with your sister. I love watching you build blocks. You're so creative. Stuff like that. So those are kind of the positive side of things, some different potential phrases you could use. Now, as parents, we all know that a lot of our job is building positive. Most of our job is building positive, but we also have to correct and train and discipline our kids in the negative and the things that they do wrong. So some phrases I often use, we often say, our kids are really small, but we often say, okay, are you, Hannah or Elise, are you going to disobey mommy? Or are you going to obey mommy? I want you to choose the right choice. I want you to choose to obey mommy. I'm going to count to 3, and if you don't come here, you're going to have to be punished. And so, then I'll count to 3, and normally, hopefully, ideally, they come, and if not, then you have to figure out, okay, what's going to be the best punishment for this situation. Something I often say is, okay, look mommy in the eyes. Look me straight in the eyes. Do you understand what I'm asking you? Because that way, I can know, okay, do they really know what I'm asking them to do? Are they deliberately disobeying, or is it just an issue of them not understanding or not hearing? So I use that one a lot. One thing I use with them a fair amount is when I'm disciplining, I explain to them, honey, part of my job as a mommy is I don't want to punish you, but I need to punish you to help you learn and grow up to be someone who's kind to others, something like that. Was another phrase of discipline that we often use. So those are just some general ideas. You can probably get good ideas for other ideas looking online. Feel free to ask me questions in the comment section. You might get some good or bad ideas of what, to do or not to do by watching American TV shows. But anyway, yes, it was great to share with you tonight. Feel free to leave me comments. I will be happy to answer them. And feel free also to leave me comments in Russian or English. It's equally fine with me either way. And feel free to send me any advice you have of phrases that you use with your kids in Russian or recommendations of Russian kids books you have. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.